I think most people watching this are familiar with dead games or have seen it happen firsthand. Whatever the reason may be, a lot of games that we previously loved just a few years before are now set on life support, and everyone knows it. Every few months there's someone saying Fortnite is dying or that some season killed the game, and any viral game is destined to have a video essay made about it the second big content creators find something new to play. But with all that, what makes a game dead? I talked about dead games a while back, and I didn't even know the answer to that. I called Lethal Company dead because it lost the majority of its original players, but then said Goose Goose Duck was doing just fine. And yes, I care about the validity of my Goose Goose Duck analysis. I feel like dead in gaming has several definitions or ways to look at it, with the most obvious being player count. If you look at player count in a literal sense, no online game is dead until it has no or very little players left to play it. The problem with this is that by this logic, In Silence isn't actually completely dead, even though there are brief times where the player count reaches 0. Alright, here we go. Let's see. How many people are playing the game? Awesome. So if you want to play multiplayer, tough luck. I know this is an extreme case, but raw player count isn't a good indicator, since in the online world, it would take a game being completely shut down or an impending doom for the player count to dwindle that low. And by impending doom, I either mean lack of updates or the game is literally about to shut down. A better indicator may be looking at the percentage of remaining players. Any game that reaches insanely high player counts or blew up out of nowhere are doomed to eventually lose the majority of them, and that's just how viral games are. Lethal Company, for example, has lost 87% of its average players between December 2023 and December and January 2025. Is it fair to call this game dead for losing nearly all of its players in just a year? That might sound like the answer is yes, but it still maintains an average of 12 to 14,000 players daily, but really closer to 20 during peak hours. Plus, the game is still very fun with friends and still produces some of the funniest clips in gaming. I have a lot of stuff on me, so. That's a Bracken.
Oh, that's a Bracken.
Oh my god! The modding community is also really strong, and that's another big factor. Lethal Company isn't dead, and nor is Goose Goose Duck by this metric. That game during peak hours sees over 20,000 players daily, but that's raw player count. There are times where that's important too. The flaw of looking at this decline is that any game that reaches a ridiculous height is going to be called dead because very few games can maintain that level of fandom for very long. People are eventually going to move on to something new, but there will still be plenty of people playing the game and more loyal fans at that, and to me that's not dead. But this decline in players isn't necessarily always because the game sucks or the game's just not fun anymore. Rather, the game has lost its spotlight. I'm sure you've seen this scenario happen before. A few streamers or YouTubers start playing a new game. They have that one clip that goes viral, it's posted everywhere, and now we have a new mainstay game. He fell! He sucks! What? Oh, this game's terrible! But what happens when those same content creators start playing something different? Many of these fans are going to be gravitated toward what's new and exciting and what their favorite creators are playing.
I see you.
Open emergency.
I wonder if there's friendly fire.
Let's find out. Yes, there is. So the previously mentioned game is now old news, and thus the decline begins. Going back to my previous examples, is a game alive if people are playing it but nobody knows? The issue with this train of thought is you're discounting the thousands of people who still play it, pretending that there isn't a strong community. At that point, the game isn't even really out of the spotlight, it just has a smaller, more stable substage. Online popularity isn't everything, but it does still matter. If a game doesn't have a decent online presence, even if it's within a niche community, then it may be dead. I would list examples, but almost every game has some kind of community. Some of them are just harder to find. At the end of the day, a game is more stable when it has a smaller but loyal community rather than just being the hit game that everyone's playing at the moment. Because every few months we go through a new game. Is a game dead because people aren't talking about it like it... Not Now Edge? Is a game dead because people aren't talking about it like they used to? Or is it dead because the player count is a fraction of what it once was? If you ignore fame, then a game like Fall Guys is doing just fine. It has a decent sized player base even though it isn't as relevant online. But if you only judge by fame, then there are only truly a handful of live games. A game being dead has multiple meanings, like I said earlier. It all comes down to how you look at it or what you value more between player count and fame. But I'm not here to tell you what to think because that's dumb and no fun.
There's one coming in the water.
Oh my god.
Eric, go, follow me,
we are out.
Eric,
I don't have stamina! This is bad! Oh, he's slow. Never mind, we can chill. I'm watching our backs. Yeah, I can barely see. Yeah.